I went up to the property this morning and one of the smaller goats was having some issues. She wasn't walking around as much as the others. And I gave her some grain and hay, but she still didn't seem like she was feeling super good. So I've come home and I'm putting together a kit to go up there and give her a few things to help her feel better. So let's go through the kit. We have repurposed a classic toolbox into our medical kit. So in here, I've got quite a few good things. First, up top, I've got my thermometer so I can check her temperature, see if she's got a fever, if she's running cold. It did rain today. I've also got some needles and syringes if I need to give injections, and a few other extra things that I won't need for her today. And then in my big box, I have some gloves, and then beneath it, we've got two things in particular for this little goat. I want to give her this probiotic paste because she had some loose stool. So I'm hoping this probiotic will help turn that around. And then also I'm going to give her some selenium gel. This is a key vitamin that the goats sometimes struggle to get enough of where we are. So I want to give her some of this just in case she needs a little bit of a boost. And then finally, I've also got some vitamin B complex, which I'll give her an injection of this vitamin B complex. It's awesome for the goats. It really helps turn them around when they're not feeling good. And the great thing about it is you can't actually give them too much. They'll just pee it out. So that's my plan for today, and we'll see how that goes. So this is the little one that's not doing so good. You can see she's lying down and she's a little bit wet. It did rain out here. So we're just getting set up and I'll start working on her. Her temperature is looking good, and I just saw her poop. She's got some normal looking poops, which is really good, but her energy is still pretty low. So I'm gonna go ahead and give her the probiotic, selenium, and vitamin B. She didn't love the selenium or probiotic paste, but I got enough in there to at least do something for her. And the vitamin B injection actually got her to stand up for me because she didn't like that. And the sun is finally coming out, so I hope that helps her find her energy too. So now she's got the selenium, probiotic, and the vitamin B injection. Lastly, I'm going to take a sample of her poop and put it in a little baggie, and then we're going to take it to the vet to get a fecal sample to see if there's any parasites, anything else going on that we need to treat her for. So I'll get some of that before I leave. We've definitely learned a lot about goats since we got them about a year and a half ago, but we're by no means experts, nor are we veterinarians. So what I'm doing for this baby is based on what we've learned either online or through other people who have goats. And we're going to keep monitoring her, but this is by no means a veterinary recommendation for how you should treat your goats. Definitely go talk to your vet if you're having any issues. So an update on what happened with the sick goat and then what we've been doing since then. Unfortunately for that little goat, the day after I shot that video, she took a turn for the worse and was really lethargic. We couldn't really wait for the fecal to come back. We needed to act sooner. So I took her to the vet hospital, and unfortunately by that time, she was so anemic that there wasn't anything we could do. So we put her down, but we got a necropsy done on her so that we could figure out exactly what was going on so we could help the rest of the herd. A little bit of background on that goat as well, the one that passed. She was about 5 months old, but really, really small. We had just gotten her from another farm about a week ago. And we learned when we got her that her mom died when she was only about 5 weeks old. And unfortunately, the previous owner was never able to get her or her siblings to take a bottle. So she was already stunted and probably a bit immunocompromised because she didn't have milk for at least 8 weeks, which is what you want for the goat kids, even longer if you can do it, but at least 8 weeks. So she was pretty small. Her siblings are pretty small too. So already kind of in a, compromised state. And then we just gotten her about a week ago. So she's at a completely new farm, new environment, the travel, slightly different diet because the brush we have here is different than the pasture she was on. So just a lot of factors contributing to a pretty quick decline when we finally noticed that there was an issue. But the good news is her sacrifice wasn't wasted. The vet hospital we took her to was able to do a necropsy so that we could figure out what's going on, because my biggest concern was that I can't help her. How can I help the rest of my herd to make sure no one else gets quite as sick as she was? So the results of the necropsy showed that she had 2 different types of parasites: barber pole worm, which is common in all goats, and also some coccidia, which is common. Most goats have a small level of coccidia, but it's especially problematic for young goats because they haven't developed an immunity to it. So when they're under 5 or 6 months of age, coccidia can be pretty detrimental to the goats. So with this information about the barber pole and the coccidia, we were able to create a treatment plan with our vet for the rest of the herd. So first we learned about the barber pole, and our vet told us to treat the goat herd with ivermectin, which is something you can get over the counter at places like Tractor Supply. Is something we were pretty familiar with. So this is the typical ivermectin. It's a drench that you give to the goats. It can also be injected, but we decided to do the drench because it usually works better and faster with the goats. So that was for the barber pole parasite. And then for the coccidia, which could impact all of the young goats, the vet recommended Corid, which is new to us, but also available at Tractor Supply. And this is just something that you can do as a drench, or you can put it into the water supply. So we opted to put it into the water supply and then have kept up with it for quite a few weeks to try and eliminate some of the coccidia from the rest of the herd. And then beyond that, we also kept an eye on how the goats were recovering. So the parasites cause anemia, and then you want to make sure that the goats recover from that anemia. So to do this, we started giving vitamin B injections and a drench of this red cell, which has iron in it, to any of the goats who weren't recovering as quickly as we'd like from the anemia. So just to help give them a little bit of a boost. For those goats that needed extra attention, we also separated them into a smaller paddock so we could keep a closer eye on them and make sure that they got a really good supply of hay and then we could access them on a daily basis to give them that B vitamin and the red cell. This little guy is actually the brother of the little one that didn't make it. And I knew from the beginning he was probably going to have issues too, because he lost his mom at a young age. So we separated him and his sibling behind him first thing, and made sure to continue checking on them and making sure they're okay. So all in all, now the rest of the herd is looking really good and really healthy. We're just going to keep monitoring everyone to make sure that they're recovering well. Also, like I mentioned before, I just want to highlight that this is definitely not medical advice for anyone else with goats. You should talk to your own veterinarian before taking action. Definitely get a fecal test done if you're concerned about parasites, and send that to your veterinarian so that you can know what sort of parasites are there in your herd and how to treat it.